Hi, I'm Chris. I'm a registered psychologist with Max. Let's talk about workplace conflict. Workplace conflict is fairly common. Any area where you gather multiple people together, there's bound to be some friction. And it can have some detrimental impacts to a workplace, including turnover, absenteeism, and productivity issues. So it's really important that we get an understanding on the different types of conflict in the workplace and how to best deal with them. Now, not all conflict is bad. The more diverse the workspace, the more likely there are to be competing views and ways of responding to situations. And this can be a really good thing if we know how to manage the conflict appropriately. It can expand our view set, it can improve our perspectives, and really enhance our productivity. So we need to know how to properly manage the conflict that does arise in the workplace to use it for our benefit. Let's together go through the different kinds of conflicts that we may experience in the workplace and how to most effectively manage them. A common form of conflict in the workplace is interdependence conflict. And this normally arises when you as an employee rely on your colleagues to get certain work done. And if they're not able to provide you what you need the way that you need it, that can cause some friction. In dealing with interdependence conflict, it's important to have role clarity. You need to have a keen understanding of what you're expecting from your colleague, if that's within their realm of expertise, if that's what they're expected to do in their role, and how well that collaborates with your requirements. Vice versa, that needs to be understood on the other way as well. Do they have a reasonable understanding and expectation of your role? We can also expand this to be looking at the team. Do you have the right resources, the reasonable expectations of each other, or you're working towards a collaborative goal? Having a keen understanding on how all of these different expectations and role clarities work together is going to be key in understanding and avoiding interdependence conflict. As the name suggests, leadership conflict normally involves some kind of friction between yourself, someone you report to, or someone who reports to you. And because good leadership is so important for an effective workplace, it's really essential we understand how to spot and effectively manage leadership conflict. This can be a tough one to address. Leadership can be scary to step into, but understanding the structures in place to support you as an employee is important here. Having open and honest communication with your management structure to make sure you can properly express your issues and the things that you are having conflict with, and being able to provide meaningful, constructive feedback to those who you report to. This is going to be key to make sure that you feel heard and supported in your workplace. Conversely, being in a position of leadership often means providing a lot of trust to those who report to you. Trust to have them do the job in the way that you expect them to. But that also means trusting them to report to you when things aren't going well. Being open and accepting to anything they may want to share with you. That's including constructive feedback. You're not going to be perfect, but having open and collaborative communication is going to be the best way to make sure that they can express their needs to you in an effective and healthy way. Everyone works slightly differently. You may have your own priorities on how you may engage in a responsibility or a workplace. And this can also clash with other people's working preferences and cause its own form of conflict. Take the recent shift to working from home. For some, that was a great change. It allowed for greater flexibility and a greater relationship with work-home balance. But for others, it was difficult. It was more distanced. It was more removed. It became difficult to fulfill their responsibilities. So understanding individual working preferences is essential here. The more we can know about how we work and how our colleagues work is going to help us navigate those changes and make sure that we can work together as opposed to working against each other. Everyone is different. And in a diverse workplace, this is absolutely a benefit. But personality differences can breed their own form of tension. Now, we all know the differences between, say, an extrovert and an introvert, but there's so much more to our personality than just that. So we can absolutely understand that two different people with two different ways of living life, navigating situations, there can definitely be some tension there. We need to be able to identify different personalities and how we interact with them, and how other interpersonalities are going to interact with us, to make sure that we can most effectively navigate these situations and collaborate effectively with those we work with. Everyone deserves to be accepted in the workplace, and no one should be excluded simply because they have a different personality. It is all of our responsibility to ensure we are open, accommodating, and accepting to everyone's individual preferences, personality styles, and ways of working. As a team, this is especially important. We're all working towards the same goal. Maintaining that harmony, empathy, and understanding is key here to ensure that we can all continue to work effectively together despite our differences. We all have a history. And just like our histories have an impact on how we navigate our workplaces, we have to be cognizant of how other people's histories impact on theirs. Backgrounds, neurodiversities, even something as serious as trauma are all going to have an impact. So we need to be aware of how that's going to play in with our workplaces. At the end of the day, we're getting a more diverse workplace, and this is a beautiful thing. But just as we introduce more diversity, we have to be aware that may introduce more opportunities for conflict. We need to be aware that we may never truly understand people's backgrounds and the true effect that it's had on them. What we can do is be open-minded, empathetic, and sensitive to where they've come from. The more we can encourage this level of open-mindedness, the more we can transform diversity into something to be continuously celebrated, as opposed to something that breeds more conflict.